Greetings, all, and welcome back. Welcome back to our midweek message. My name is Shola Ade, and I am the founder of MBS Complete. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Well, before we jump in, go ahead and grab a pen and paper, ready to take some notes, get your journal, write out, how you're feeling today, what you want to gain from this week's message. As you know, and if you don't know, if you're new here, we're talking about burnout in this series. Okay, so just right now, think about what burnout means to you, what it means for you, in what areas have you seen yourself being burned out. And then also think about what are some things that you have done in the past to help navigate and balance that out. Okay, because it's important that we are able to achieve a level of balance in the things that we do. A lot of us show up in many different ways, perform many different roles, have so many responsibilities. And so, again, being able to just reflect on where you're being pulled and how much that has a toll on your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul. And again, beginning to have the conversation, of course, and then start to do something about it. Okay. So just go ahead, take some time, again, we're just thinking about it, like what immediately comes up for you, right? In the meantime, others may be getting their pen, their paper, their journals, whatever it may be, because we can take some notes today. All right. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series or this series before, I definitely would encourage you to check those out. Okay. There is a lot of information that can be applied to different areas. And so with that, just having certain resources and having certain, insights or knowledge at your disposal can be helpful, especially when we're navigating the ever-changing world that we live in and the world that you live in on an internal level. I mean, things are always changing, moving, needing to be adjusted to. Okay. So this week, we're going to be talking about workplace burnout specifically. So, like I said, this series is going to be about burnout. It is about burnout. It's about burnout, self care, workplace burnout, how to, again, balance burnout, what you can do in these different arenas. And then now we're going more specific. Okay. So, with workplace burnout, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's really where the term burnout became so popular. Thinking about how much people work, how much they are, or we rather, are expected to show up in the workplace and perform. Maybe you're in a workplace that you have quarterly evaluations, and based on the numbers that you do, you're being evaluated on how well you do your job, right? Or maybe you work with clients and other sort of individuals that need care, right? And so how you're doing as part of that team that provides care is also a way that you are evaluated. Maybe there are bonuses for employees of the month, right? Everyone wants to be highlighted for the work that they do. And so with that, it can come with a lot of pressure, right? Pressure to do well, to perform, to be better than the next coworker, right? And so with these arenas of competition, so to speak, we tend to overextend ourselves. And that's really where we get into these facets of burnout, right? So, again, just want to give another simple explanation or definition of burnout, and that is the repeated and excessive stress that comes with performing, right? Fulfilling a role, performing in a way, again, where people have certain expectations for you. Okay, so workplace burnout, again, is specific to the arena of your job, right? So working in an environment where you tend to have a lot of stress, significant stress. And as a result, right, there are effects of that, of course. And so what does it look like in the workplace? Well, that could mean that you avoid social interactions. That could mean that you avoid bosses, managers. Maybe you have these constant fears of doing well and performing at the highest level. Maybe there's even a fear of losing your job if you don't perform. Maybe there's even some uncertainty, right, around what you are actually able to do. Maybe you think about when you first started, you were like, I got this. I'm on point. I can do this. And then as time goes on, as people see how much you are able to do, you continue to take all that on. You continue to say yes to things, right? And then you become uncertain because you have so much on your plate. And although you may know it's in some way that you are still able to complete these tasks, there still is a level of anxiety around that, right? So even thinking about all the work related anxiety that can come up, right? That rise in discomfort that is there, that fast heartbeat when you just think about all the things that you have to do for the day. Let's say it's Monday, right? And you come in here like, oh man, it's already Monday. It's only Monday, rather. And I have all these things to do. How are they going to get done by Friday? In some way, somehow they get done, right? Those feelings, though, they're still there. And it doesn't create the environment that is, again, the most optimal for you to do your best, right? And so maybe you may even have some low motivation. Maybe you have a mood, some sort of irritable mood or a frustrated mood or even a sad mood. Maybe you just feel like you're not full of life anymore because you do so much and you pour into these work tasks that you really don't have a lot left for you, right? You feel drained at times. And then maybe that even comes out in how you interact with, again, your coworkers, with your bosses, your managers, your subordinates, if you have people working under you. Maybe that even manifests in the consumers that you may deal with, the clients that you may deal with, the people that you serve. You may tend to be a little bit short with them, and then after that, you're like, oh, wow, why did I speak to them in that way? And so again, right, there are these other feelings and emotions that come up. And in all, it creates this environment that ultimately decreases your ability to perform, right? Because you're just not at your best state. And again, if you've watched my other videos, you know that the best means doing the best that you can at that point in time. So the best is relative based on the person. And your best is knowing that at any given time, you are doing your best, right? If we have the perspective of if you knew better, then you do better, then whatever you're doing right now is the best. Now, can there be room for improvements? Of course. How can we improve though when we have nothing else left to give, right? And that's really where burnout becomes so dangerous. It becomes very dangerous because with those decreases in performance, that fear of you losing your job can be very real. Those evaluations that come out and those numbers that get printed down, they reflect something. And again, it may not mean that you yourself don't know what you're doing in this role. It may mean that there are other things going on that are not allowing you to show up for that role in a way that reflects on paper, right? And so, how do we manage this? Because this is very important, right? For some people, if this is, let's say, your main source of income, and you're giving your all, you're doing the best that you can, but it's still not enough because you don't have it in you to give more. You've taken on so many responsibilities that there's nothing left, rather. Maybe you've worked constantly day in and day out and haven't had the time to reset, take a break, decompress, and then restart. There's so many options here, right? So how do we get to a point of managing it, balancing it? Well, first and foremost, let's recognize it. Let's acknowledge it. Go back to the other videos. Let's acknowledge it so that we can get to the point of it being in our faces and then having that choice. We want to give ourselves the choice to do something differently once we are able to recognize and acknowledge what it is. Okay. So recognizing it, maybe that comes with you talking to other people about it. Maybe you talk to your coworkers. Maybe you talk to one of your managers who you have a close relationship with. Maybe you talk to one of your friends that works in a different industry. Sometimes talking about it is good enough because one, it allows us to have that external validation, right? And validation is important because it lets you know that, hey, what you're feeling is okay. How you're feeling is okay. What's going on with you, I understand, right? And sometimes, maybe for some people, we are usually able to give ourselves that internal motivation. You can, or that validation. You can say, all right, it's a hard day, but I know you got this. It's a hard day and you can get this done. You can do it. How you're feeling right now is real. So let's get it done and then let's take care of me. Or maybe you say, you know what? How you're feeling is so real that we're going to put this to the side. I'm talking to yourself, right? We're going to put this to the side, self, and we're going to go take a break. Let's go take a walk. Sometimes, again, we don't have that energy to do that for ourselves. So having a support team, right? A support system, whether it's one person, three people, your whole department, your whole floor, your whole unit, whatever it may be, that could be good enough. So talk to somebody, right? And maybe those people that you talk to, they can not only give you the validation that can make you feel heard and seen, but maybe they can also provide some solutions or examples of what they've done in the past to help balance out their life, to help balance out these feelings of burnout. Okay. Something else you can do is utilize your work benefits, right? So take that time off. Many of us are given time off and we don't take it, we don't use it, right? How many of us, when we get to the end of the year, we're like, oh, wow, I have all these days left over. Yeah, use them. And maybe you wait till the end of the year because you have about 2 weeks over, right? And so you use those 2 weeks and you just take the time to decompress. You take the time to relax and do for yourself. Now, if you're burnt out at, let's say, 6 months and you're waiting for the year to come, can you spare a day or two from that 2 week long vacation at the end of the year? Just a thought, just a thought. Maybe you can spare one day or two to help again balance out what's happening, refill that cup so that you can get back on the wagon and keep going. Okay. Now, something I also want to mention here, because I find that this is also an obstacle to taking time off. It's the feelings of guilt, right? The feelings of guilt and anxiety. If I take this time off, they're going to need me. I am interfering with my team's progress because I am not there. Guess what? Your team will figure it out. They will figure it out. And in an extreme case, I'm going to go there. If you don't show up the next day because you fall ill, your body literally shuts down and it's like, I'm not going anywhere. I don't care what you think you want to do. We're not going anywhere. They're going to find a way to fill that spot. So if you want to keep doing the best that you can, taking that time away and caring for yourself is a part of that. You are invaluable to yourself, to your family, to those who you love. And again, yourself. You are valuable. Okay. Those companies, those industries, those agencies that you work for, they value the work that you do. And they can find another person to do that work. So, again, think about that when you weigh the pros and cons of taking off those days. Because if you work yourself down and you have nothing left, and there is no more of you coming into the office performing your best, they're going to find somebody that will. So before you even get to that point, take your time, use your time, care for you, and then go back. They'll love you so much more because you'll be in a position of having space to do the best that you can with a clear mind. Okay. So I wanna make sure I emphasize that it's those feelings of guilt and anxiety are natural, right? They're normal. It's gonna come up, and you have to care for you. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. And remember, right? Just as much as you commit to doing these jobs and these tasks, you can commit to caring for yourself as well. Okay. Something else that you can do in regards to work benefits, not only is there time off, personal days, sick days, you can also use the programs that your job has. Maybe they have an employee assistance program where you're able to get some sort of counseling or some sort of wellness coaching, which again can help provide you with tools that you may need in order to navigate those feelings of burnout. It can provide you with that extra support, again, that extra validation, right? Looking at your workload is another thing you can do. Look at your workload and begin to prioritize what has to get done in the next 5 minutes, what has to get done in the next hour, what has to get done by the end of the day, what has to get done by the end of the week, what can I get done by the end of the month without penalty, what can I get done by the end of 3 months without penalty. Order your list, right? What are some things that I can maybe ask for assistance with? Can I create a shared project with this task? Or does it only have to be me? Okay. Can I go back and say, hey, I remember I committed to this, and I think it's still a great thing to do. And I'm also wondering if I'm able to handle it all by myself. Do you think there's somebody else in our department or in our team that may want to jump on the project with me? Two minds are better than one, right? Talk to people, reach out, let people know what's going on. It's okay to ask for help, it's okay to receive support. All right. And then one of the biggest things that I think is so key here, which can also be one of the major challenges, is reflecting on how much that work fulfills you. How much is your soul and your spirit fulfilled? Are you engaging in tasks that align with your purpose? These are some deep questions now. And for some of us, we may know what one purpose is or a few of our purposes because we have, again, many different roles and many different things to play in this life. Are we clear on that? And if we are clear, how much does what you are doing right now at your job fit into that? If it fits, wonderful. Continue to strike that balance between caring for you so that when you walk in that building, when you walk into that space, when you walk into that room, you're showing up excited about doing something that you truly love, that truly gives you a soul fulfillment. Caring for yourself would actually make that fulfilling process of doing whatever it is that you do so much better. Because again, your mind will be clear, your heart will be open, you'll be ready, right? So that balance is key if what you're doing right now fulfills your soul. Caring for yourself. Again, I gave some examples on what you can do to care for yourself, to engage in some relaxation. So check out the video beforehand on burnout and self-care if you missed it. And you can also create a list of things that make you feel good. What are some things that bring you joy? Right? Now, on the flip side, what if you're reflecting and you realize this isn't it? This doesn't fulfill me. I don't feel fulfilled when I do this work. When I interact with these individuals, it doesn't it doesn't come from a place of passion. That's okay. Thank you for recognizing that. Thank you for honoring that, right? Because now you can do something about it. So, what you can do is explore some activities that do fulfill you. Explore some other work opportunities that fulfill you. Maybe look into some hobbies, try some different things. Or maybe you know that when you do community service, you get such a warm feeling. You're working with youth, you're working in populations that are traditionally underrepresented and underserved. Maybe working in communities where you are dealing with individuals who come from similar backgrounds to you. That fulfills your heart, that fulfills your soul. Explore more opportunities where you can do that. And again, it doesn't have to be like a second job where you're like, okay, I know this works for me, so I'm going to do this every week. It doesn't have to be. It can be. You can definitely make it a routine. Again, though, we're wanting to create a balance between being so task oriented and so strict with the things that we have to do, as well as just going with the flow. So maybe you find one Saturday, you Google something. What do you know? Your community center is having some sort of workshop, recreational activity. You got the time, it's 2 hours, you head over there. Maybe you can make that a practice. Bring some friends with you, right? So find hobbies. Maybe it's not even something that has to do with you going outside. Maybe you enjoy caring for yourself and you make some skin products, some skin oils, hair oils, things like that. Maybe you enjoy seeing other people feel good about themselves, their bodies. And so you can do things to facilitate that, right? Incorporate that into some sort of routine. Again, it doesn't have to look the same every day, every week. Continue to explore and continue to expand, right? And then again, on a deeper level, this is a great journal exercise that you can do is exploring your purpose. What does fulfill you, right? Now, let's say you've done the work in regards to prioritizing your work tasks. You're going out into the community, you're staying home and spending time with yourself, with your family. You're getting that balance, right? And then you recognize, again, you pay attention to yourself, you notice that something is still off. This doesn't fulfill me. This work that I'm doing, yes, I'm good at it. I know what it is. I know what it's like. I went to school for it. I'm skilled in it. And it doesn't bring me pure joy. So maybe in those extreme cases, you begin to look for other opportunities, right? And maybe you can start by decreasing some of the hours that you work and you put into that profession or to that job, and then find one that does suit you. And so you're able to balance out the income. That's important, right? You're able to supplement the decrease in hours with the increase in hours that do actually fulfill you. So you feel good when you're making the money in those arenas. And you feel good when you're making money in that arena as well, because you're not working all the time doing something that does not fulfill you. Okay? Again, it's something deeper to think about, right? So with workplace burnout, talk to somebody. It's okay to ask for support. Maybe that even means talking to a professional. Your job might have programs that can facilitate that for you. Maybe it can be as simple as joining a Facebook group, finding a community of individuals who, again, can provide that external support and validation. In regards to lists and tasks, prioritize yourself. Prioritize what has to get done now. What can I put off for later? Where can I add some me time in? And then, is this really fulfilling me? And what can I do to engage more in the activities and the opportunities that do fulfill me? Okay. So that's workplace burnout. Now, these are just a few examples of some ways to achieve that balance. Feel free to continue to explore what works best for you. And this is why the journaling is so powerful, right? Because it allows you a space to see what does work for you and what doesn't. Just throw out some ideas, just throw out some options. Again, you're giving yourself that choice. And that's one of the best things you can do. All right. So we're gonna continue with this series. We got a lot more to talk about. All right. So stay tuned for next week. If you have not seen the other videos in this series, please, I encourage you to check those out. And if you haven't seen the videos from the previous series, the trauma series, definitely want to check that out. Okay. And then if you're wanting to get into a state where you're being consistent with this, continue to stay tuned. Continue to stay tuned and engage in the videos that we have to come. Alrighty. Thank you all so much for showing up for yourself, for being here, and for always choosing you. Have a wonderful rest of your week.